G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Roll with the Punches. I'm your host Tiffanee Cook, and as always I'm bringing in incredible people to have a chat to on the couch. Today I'm really excited because not only is this person incredible, but he's someone that I am blessed to call a friend. Shaun Resnik, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Tiff. It's always a pleasure to hang with you, eh?
Isn't it always? And we had you on the podcast back in, can you believe it was October 2020?
No. Flown.
I know. And I listened to it today because I was like, oh, what did we talk about? We talked about
Was it good?
Yeah, it was great.
Good.
Until at some point you had a dig about my age.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I just asked your age again, didn't I?
I know.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Short memory.
You didn't even
You're
act
young.
surprised.
That's what you said.
You
You're
didn't even
young.
act surprised when I said how old I was.
I know. You're looking good, though. This lighting, amazing.
Excellent. Great. Good to hear. Peter work his magic in editing.
Oh, yeah.
Life these days, a little bit different.
Oh, my God. So different.
Tell me about it.
Well, little baby Eli was born on the 22nd of the 3rd, 22. That wasn't planned. It's just that age, like a great, date to be born, I reckon. Hey, yeah. So I am perpetually tired at the moment. So through surrogacy, little Bubba Eli has been born, and he is beautiful. He's 7.5 weeks now. And he has got good, strong lungs and a big tummy. They say babies have tiny tummies, but I'm sure he's just like a bottomless pit.
It's just eating and eating
yeah,
and eating.
he's a guzzler. He's a guzzler.
I think he just wants to hang with you throughout the night.
I think he just likes to keep us up. I think that's what he wants to do. So, yeah.
All the women out there are going, yes, finally, a dude realises what we go through.
I don't think I had any conception of how difficult it was even going to be, right?
Yeah.
So I think what my brain was telling me prior was, you know what, babies, you need to attend to them every few hours, obviously to feed and burp and change a diaper. Yeah. And I thought, like every 3 hours, that's cool, that's doable, like, because you've got a big window in between, right? You can do other stuff. But I didn't realize that every single feed, every burp, every nappy change can take an hour and a half. 45 minimum, an hour and a half sometimes. And so by the time you've finished changing nappies and doing everything, you've literally only got another 45, 50 minutes, and then you've got to start the whole process again. So it's literally, it's a non-end, it doesn't stop. But it's beautiful though. I'm not complaining though. I'm not complaining. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Tell me about the first day. What was it like? I have this picture of the little stork coming along and dropping this baby Eli into life.
Exactly how it happened, right? Exactly. It's yeah. So I get a phone call. I'm at work, right? And we decided that Bubs was, Carla and I discussed that Bubs was going to most likely be born at the end of the week. Carla was feeling really heavy, and I think it was time, right? So she went off to the hospital. She had a chat to the midwife. Midwife said, "This baby's coming today. We're inducing today." So I get a phone call. I get a missed call from Carla, and then a phone call again saying, "Papa, baby's being born today. Get here." And it was just like this moment of, oh my goodness gracious, it's happening. So I'm like screaming at Shaun, like, my partner, Shaun, I know you know that.
Shaun squared.
Yeah,
Shaun
Shaun
and
squared,
Shaun, everybody.
Shaun squared. And I'm like, babe, we're having a baby today. Let's do this. Come on, come. And I'm literally phoning clients on the way to the hospital saying, listen, I can't see you. I'm having a baby. Baby's coming. Mum, Dad, baby's coming. And we're like, we're going to be parents today. And it was the most outstanding day. I mean, Carla's very fortunate to give birth really easily. She has great pregnancies. So it was a 2-hour labor. Shaun and I got to be in the room. The intention was that I was going to catch little Bubba, and I did. And that was insane. It was absolutely magical. The moment his head started crowning, and I just like swooped on in there and like got him, and he almost dropped out of my hands because they're slippery. But it was this moment I just looked at him and he screamed, right, loudly. And it was just like, this day has come. And it's been 3.5 years in the making. And it was just amazing. There's a photo of us the moment that he was born. And like my face, my grin is like from ear to ear. It's insane.
Oh, so amazing.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, so much of this. Last time I spoke to you, you were, I guess, 1 or 2 years into the surrogacy.
Yeah.
You'd had a couple of
Yeah.
attempts and you'd had some disappointments, and it was such a
Yeah.
roller coaster.
Yeah.
When you started that journey as a single gay man,
Yeah.
what was your expectation? Like, what was your feelings?
Do you know what? It's interesting. In my career as a life coach and a hypnotherapist, I've always ascribed to, if you really want something badly enough, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
So I've always had this belief that if I want something, it happens with a bit of work. I had no idea that surrogacy was going to be so hard. Like, I had no idea whatsoever.
Yeah.
So in Australia, it's altruistic. You can't pay someone to have a bubs for you. You have to create this really wonderful relationship with someone to get to that point where they're willing to carry for you, which is a huge deal. I mean, you're asking someone to, carry a baby
my hand
for you.
here. Not raising my hand.
Yeah, well, I asked you. You said no, so thanks for that. Anyway, you can babysit at some point. And so I thought this might be a process that takes maybe a year or two. And it took 3.5 years from start to finish. And in that time, there were 3 wonderful women who did come forward, who offered to carry for me. But like anything in life, circumstances change, people change their minds. And those journeys came to an end. And I think when we did our podcast, it was around the time where I think my 2nd or 3rd surrogacy journey had come to a crashing halt.
Yeah.
And it throws you. It's so disappointing because, you want to be a parent so badly. And I was already like in my early 40s. And even though I know, guys, we don't have a biological clock ticking, you still want to do what's right for the baby, right? You don't want to have a kid too late in life. Well, that's my opinion anyway. So I was kind of like wanting to get things moving. And so I think there were moments where there was joy when, embryos were being created, but then there was sadness when a surrogate fell out of the whole sort of scenario. And but to get to the point now where I'm actually a father, I don't know. How do I explain it? It's bliss. It's exhausting though. I've said that 5 times now, haven't I? It's exhausting, but it's blissful.
And in the middle of all of this, now you've known Shaun for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So it's not a brand new relationship, but it's stepped into a brand new form.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
Shawnee and I have known each other for 8 years. So we're buddies.
Yeah.
And but there was nothing ever romantic about our friendship. We're just mates. He was in a relationship at the time. I was in one too. And then, we obviously, our relationships came to an end. We dated other people. But I'd probably been single for the better half of about 4 or 5 years. In about 2020, Shaun and I both realized, I don't know how he and I hadn't had that conversation that I wanted to do surrogacy. And he's like, oh my God, I want to be a dad too. And I was like, let's go on a date to a friend of 8 years, right?
Wow.
Anyway, so we dated casually for a few months, but I don't know. I think the timing wasn't right for me, to be quite frank. I'd already decided I'm doing this as a single guy. And I think the bandwidth was just not there. You're looking after a relationship with your surrogate, you've got a business, it's hard to start something fresh, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But we remained friends. And then probably about 4 months before Baba was actually born, Shaun turned to me on one of our daily walks. We walk the dogs together, and he goes, why are we actually not together? Because we're always together. And I said, I don't know. I just don't know why I don't know, maybe it was just the timing.
Yeah.
So we went away on a holiday and thought, well, let's give it a go. Let's give us a proper go now. And the holiday, something clicked. Maybe it was getting COVID together on the first day of our trip. And now, here we are. Shaun moved in a week before the baby was born.
Yeah.
And we're just co-parenting beautifully. He is such a good dad. And, we work together. And, we're a really good team. And I couldn't be more positive about our future. He's adorable. I'm absolutely in love with Shawnee. And he's a good guy. You've met him. He's a beautiful human being.
Yeah, I think that you guys are great.
Yeah.
It interests me. How do you reckon that the baby has strengthened or changed the relationship? I feel like there's so much that happens in a female's hormones when they get pregnant and go through the pregnancy and have the baby. And I was talking to you about this before in terms of, breastfeeding produces hormones that make them sleepy, so they go back to sleep. So this is way harder for you and Shaun potentially than it is for a female with female biology.
Oh, totally. Look, I want to be totally respectful to females out there because, I mean, Carla's the one who birthed the baby. So, her body went through all the upheavals of hormones, whatnot, and then giving birth. It's a huge toll. It takes a huge toll on the body. So any woman who gives birth and then has to now look after bubs and breastfeed or bottle feed or whatnot, it's exhausting for women. As men, we're lucky enough to hit the ground running. We're not recovering post-birth. But what does happen, I think, for us guys is there is a level of, I'd like to say Shaun and I are very paternal, but I think we have to work our way into our nurturing capacity, whereas I think women, because of the hormonal changes in oxytocin, which is the love and cuddle hormone being so high, I think women take to it maybe a little bit more naturally. Yeah. So I think for the first couple of weeks, we were doing what we needed to do, but my God, we were so overwhelmed. Yeah. And, most parents say they feel like they don't know what they're doing at all. And we fell into that category. Oh, yeah. But I feel like after a couple of weeks, we just found our groove. And we are so paternal. This baby gets so much love, so many hugs and cuddles. And as a new relationship per se, I think we're in a lucky position to have known each other as friends for 8 years. Yeah. So we're not strangers to each other, and we play off each other's strengths and we communicate. So we keep checking in. How are you going? How do you feel? And by the way, you're doing a brilliant job. I'm so proud of you. You're such a good dad. And we do this back and forth. And as a result, I think we're parenting really well. Friends and family, that's the feedback we get. So and Bubba's about 1 kilogram heavier than he supposedly should be at this age. So we must be feeding him pretty well. Yeah, so he's growing beautifully. Yeah.
Ah, so
big cheeks. Yeah.
What's it like to, I guess with a male and a female in a relationship, there would be things that fall into place naturally with expectations. Is it harder for you guys to be like, what's my role, what's your role?
He does all the sterilizing of the bottles and cleaning
all
of
grown-up
oh my goodness,
stuff.
there's this baby cappuccino machine that does your does the formula, right?
Yeah.
So nowadays you have this machine and it literally the canister of the baby powders at the top, and you literally you press the button and it dispenses the exact amount of the formula for you at the right temperature. How easy can it get, right? So Shaun's role is to clean that because every 4 times it has to be cleaned. He does the sterilizer. And then I'm brilliant at swaddling the baby. I'm just this brilliant swaddler, right? Babies like to be swaddled nice and tight. I said to Shaun, when the baby is no longer needing swaddling, I'm going to be swaddling him because I'm addicted to it. I love it, right? Yeah. It's just this cool little thing. So I think we just naturally fell into our roles. I do the washing, Shaunie does, other things that he's really good at. We're both rubbish at doing nappies initially. And now,
deliberately rubbish? No one wants to be good at that
No
job.
one's good at that, yeah. But I think we just naturally fell into what our strong suits are. So we just take turns, and you have to be flexible as well. A good thing is Shaun does have paternity leave, which is great. He's taken 8 months off work. 8 months.
Wow.
That helps a lot.
That's so good.
I've gone more part-time. But, it's a bit of a juggle between, I don't want to abdicate parenthood to Shaun whilst I'm working. So in between clients, I'll okay, give him to me. I want to do a quick feed, and or I'll do a nappy change. But then post 5, 6 o'clock at night, it's just both of us taking turns. Yeah.
Ah, so great. Talk to me about, I guess, 'cause you're the first male.
First single male in Victoria.
Yeah.
To undergo a local surrogacy journey, meaning within Australia.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that was the case. Right up until I got up to just before PRP, the patient review panel. Yeah. They're a panel of experts who kind of give you the go-ahead. You have to first do psychological counselling, an evaluation. You have to go through medical stuff, legals. There's a lot of hoops to jump through in surrogacy. They make it pretty damn tough, right? Yeah. And rightfully so. There's some things I kind of think, well, do we have to make it that tough? Like legislation in Australia is different in all the states. They really make it complex. So by the time we got there, I was told that mine was a landmark case because I was the first single guy doing it, which meant they were going to really watch me closely and make sure that all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted because like this is like the first in history. So no pressure, you know.
I've just got goosebumps
No
as you
pressure.
said that, yeah.
And yeah, so...
Don't screw it up, Shaun.
Don't screw this up for all the other single people that are watching and wanting you to do this well so that they've got, you know, a path to follow. And I think what's been lovely is that there's a surrogacy lawyer in Melbourne and she's been inundated with phone calls from guys, girls, single people who are now going, hey, you know, if this guy could do it, like, how do we go about it? Which is wonderful.
Oh, I love that. I remember doing a podcast episode maybe 6 months after I'd spoken to you on a friend of mine, her family in Tassie, they've done surrogacy twice. They had to go to India and I cried. I cried in the podcast. I cried when I edited it. I cried when I listened. Nothing makes me cry. I was just... the lengths that they had to go through and the places they had to go. Yeah. And I just, you know, I think you should be so proud of what you've done. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks. Beautiful. Look, I must admit, I feel proud of what I've achieved as well, because don't forget, there were like 3 false starts in this whole process, you know, and there were times where it was super tough and I was teary as well. But I guess, like, you know, when you want something badly enough, you've just got to keep plowing through. And I was fortunate enough to have very supportive parents, great friends like yourself. I remember we'd go on walks and I'd chat to you and I'd say, this is where I'm at. And, you know, you'd be a sounding board. And there were amazing people in my life like that. And so I guess, like anyone who goes through anything like this, you've got to have a good community of people around you. And I'm very fortunate, you know, Carla's going to be in our lives forever on. And
Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
So Carla and I speak all the time. I mean, she's the amazing woman who birthed this baby, and we're a part of her family, and she's a part of ours. And like, we're catching up again this weekend. We catch up regularly. Bubs is going to know her intimately, you know, moving forward. Bree, my egg donor, who is incredible and has 2 boys of her own, which are my kids' half brothers. We're in their lives too. And so it's like a whole community. It's like this, it's this beautiful little village, you know, 2 dads, 2 mums essentially, and siblings and cousins. And it's nice, you know, it's exactly what I wanted. I've always wanted a family. And, you know, I look back at the 24-year-old me who came out of the closet, who didn't even think it was going to be a possibility. And I'm like, we did it.
I've got goosebumps again because this morning when I re-listened to our podcast, what jumped out at me the most was how you spoke. I've got goosebumps big time right now. How you spoke about your... No, I get emotional. How you spoke about your relationship with your parents and that process of coming out and how they didn't understand, and you're a South African Jewish gay male that migrated to Australia and you walked through Caulfield Park and your dad cried and, you know, and I just went, but the relationship that you've managed to have is that, you know, when I said to you in the podcast, I've got a relationship with my dad like that that's really close, and people don't get that.
No, not always. Look, at the time when I came out of the closet, the parents they found it difficult. It was challenging for them, you know, coming from a conservative Jewish family in South Africa. It just wasn't a done thing. Like, being gay was not normal. And so...
Your mum said,
no,
you don't have any symptoms?
Mum was like, you don't have any symptoms? What do you mean you're gay? You played rugby at school. I was like, yeah, but not really well, Mum. Like, let's be honest, I wasn't very good at rugby. No, but, you know, and they took some time to get used to the notion. And one of the things I remember them saying was like, we just want you to be able to have a family, and now you won't, you know? And at that stage, surrogacy wasn't a thing, you know, it wasn't a thing. It only became something that I knew was possible in my early 30s, but I always wanted to do it in a relationship, always wanted to do it. And then I think when I hit just before my 40th birthday, I thought, you know what, if I don't get cracking with this, it may never happen. I can't wait for the right guy to come into my life, you know, before I start this family journey. And so I guess my message to people is like, sometimes the ducks haven't lined up. You've just got to go with it anyway and just hope and have faith that things will fall into place. And they don't always. Life isn't fair, so there's no guarantees. But if you don't try, you don't get. So
yeah. God, I love that so much. What has been the biggest, tell me two things, what has been the biggest pleasant surprise out of all of this, or experience or feeling or unexpected thing? And what has been the hardest?
I think the most pleasant surprise would just be the rallying around of positivity. I mean, I guess not surprising that it comes from like my close family and friends. But yesterday, Shaun and I were in the park, right, with Bubba in the little baby carrier and the two dogs. And this guy comes running up to us, and he goes, excuse me, I don't want to interrupt this like moment, but I saw your story on TV and I just want to say well done. Like, this is brilliant. I'm so happy for you guys. And I was like, oh mate, I'm actually just chatting to Kyla, FaceTiming her, and say hi to Kyla. And Kyla was like, hey, how are you? And it was just this beautiful moment of like community rallying around all the ladies in the park, all the guys where we walk the dogs. Everyone's just been so beautiful. So I think the pleasant surprise is just the amount of generosity of spirit that this has created, and all these single guys coming forward now and like messaging me and saying, thanks for the inspiration. Like, now we know we can do this as well, you know? So that's been an amazing positive. The hardest bit, I think, has been juggling work, career, and fatherhood, and trying to do a good job of both. You know, just finding that balance, and I'm yet to find the balance, but I feel like I'm getting there. You know, I don't want to let my clients down, and I don't want to let Bubba down. But I love what I do equally as much as I love being a dad. And I think it's just about self-compassion and just doing the best you can, you know? Yeah.
I feel like a lot of parents can fall into that trap of that identity of becoming the parent, and that's the one thing, and then they lose themselves. And, you know, it's that, I mean, you're a life coach, so you're kind of well equipped for this. But still... Totally. Still human in the middle of that.
100%. And, you know, we're all human beings. Practitioners, we're human beings, and we make mistakes. And I'm always open to...
I don't.
No, except you. I've not seen you make a mistake in all the years we've been friends. But I feel like I think we just learn along the way. And I think as long as we can, you know, hopefully better ourselves and be a better version of ourselves like every single year, that's the main thing, you know?
What did Mum and Dad, when did you tell them, hey, I'm going to try and have a baby? And what was their response?
I told them a couple of years before I even started the process, I'm going to be a dad. Don't worry, I'm going to make sure that I become a dad. And they were always like, we want that for you, Shawnee. Like, you've got so much love to give, and you're so paternal. You'll make an awesome dad. So they were always on board, right? When I was on my journey, they went through all the ups and downs with me, and they really struggled with some of the downs as well. But when I told them we were pregnant, oh my God, I will never forget. Carla and I had met in the park. She had peed on the stick at home, right? She didn't want to get her girls excited because she's got 3 girls. And so just in case there wasn't a positive test, right? So we met up in the park. And I'm like, all right. And she's holding the test. And she says, all right, are you ready? You know how to read this test? I'm like, yeah, 2 lines means pregnant, right? She goes, yeah. So she takes her hand off the test, and it's like, boom, pregnancy in the middle of COVID. We're jumping up and down, right? We're so excited. This woman walking past sees us hugging. Like, we're supposed to have masks on. I'm like, take them off. Take a photo for us, please. Like, look. And we're holding up the pregnancy test. And she's like, oh, congratulations. Anyway, there's a cap that goes on the pregnancy test. So you pee on the test, you put the protective cap so like you don't get pee on your hand, right? Take it home to Mum and Dad. They don't know that we've done this pregnancy test. Give this little stick to Mum, and I say, hey Mum, check this out. Mum thinks I've given her a present. She thinks it's an emery board. Mum takes protective cap out and she starts trying to, like, don't touch it. What are you doing? What are you doing? And Mum goes, it's an emery board. I said, it's not. Look at the lines. What do you think that means? And Mum's looking and gets her glasses. Dad's looking. And then it dawns on them that it's a pregnancy test and it's positive. It's so funny. It was like, this is not the way it was meant to go. This is nowhere near the way I envisioned it going. Anyway, So, Mum and Dad gave me a massive hug. Dad gets all teary and he goes, "You've worked so hard for this. Like, we are so proud of you." And just the best moment.
Yeah, I think when I think of all of the family you have around you and the family-like relationships and the half brothers and siblings that Eli's going to have, and I just think it's so... I've got one brother and he's quite a bit older than me, and I've always looked at people with close family around them and loved that. And I just think he's such a lucky boy.
He is. He's a lucky boy. He's going to have so much support and love out there. And I think as we're progressing as a society and these family units are becoming more normalized and there's more and more people doing stuff like this, I'm part of a surrogacy group where there are so many couples and singles who are on the journey, some of which have had bubs and some who haven't. And these guys are top-notch, awesome human beings. They all have similar traits. They're loving and kind. A lot of them are very, they have their own businesses or they're employed and they've got like drive, and a lot of them, I'd say, have their shit together. And these are going to be high quality parents. And I'm so proud of the group I'm a part of because, they're an inspiration.
That's so awesome. If people want to reach out and get in touch with us, so you do your mindset coaching, your life coaching, but are you also kind of advocating for this?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right. Like, tell us where we can find you.
For anyone who's stuck in anything in life, whether it's an anxiety, a fear, phobia, they just feel like they're just not moving forward in life. My website, shaunresnik.com, if you just Google my name now, a lot of stuff comes up around the surrogacy. So, and my website's up there as well. So, more than welcome. So, to have good chats.
I love it. When Eli's an adult and he talks about his dad, what do you want him, dads?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you want him to say about you and Shaun?
I want him to say that we made him laugh. More than anything else, I think laughter just helps you get through the darkest times. So I love laughing and I do it all the time with friends, family and in my work. And I think if he can say the one thing he got was like lots of laughter and obviously all the basic stuff like love and all that, I'll be so happy. So lots of jokes, lots of dad jokes already starting. That's so bad.
Oh, I can imagine. Shaunie, thanks so much for being a part of this. I'm so proud of you and I'm so proud to call you a friend.